Today's episode is brought to you by the Positively Productive Toolkit, a collection of workbooks that guide you through self-discovery and self-awareness. These self-guided workbooks, which include links to assessments, can be completed in minutes. Request this free resource and others at the positivelyproductive.com/resources page.
When you are going from a place where you're following your gut, that time you still are going to hear no. You still are going to have those days when life is difficult. Yes, this is not an easy road. I would never ever tell anyone, oh, yeah, follow your gut and it's super easy then. No, it's not. It's heartbreaking almost. It's almost even worse because there's no way to back down from it because you know you are supposed to be heading in this direction. So that almost makes it harder in a way. But at the same time, in those difficult moments, it's what helps you propel yourself through it. It gets you back on track, gets you back at your desk the next day, and okay, try to regroup. If you're doing it because, oh, I heard this is a great way to make money, just stop today. You can do that. You're more than capable of doing that. But if that is the only thing driving you, no, your lack of passion is going to come through.
You're listening to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zaratny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a productivity coach certified in positive psychology and stress management. Join me as we explore ways to live a more proactive, positive life with episodes on productivity, self-awareness, mindset, entrepreneur life, habits and systems, simplicity, fun, and more. I understand overwhelm personally as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, wife and mom to kids and cats, and as a caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. Welcome to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa, and today we're revisiting a topic of self-trust. In episode 66, I invited Gwen Austin to share her perspective on trusting your gut to make the right choice. We explored what it means to listen to your intuition when making decisions and how to recognize those internal messages that guide you. That was over 220 episodes ago, and since that time, my understanding of what helps us and hinders us has grown so much. I can see how hustle culture and shame both affect our ability to tap into what we know and trust about ourselves. When we live in overwhelm, it's no wonder we spend so much time second-guessing our choices. Thankfully, releasing those blocks can help you rebuild self-trust, allowing you a much clearer path forward. That's why I added an episode with Valerie Friedlander on letting go of shame and rebuilding self-trust. In that episode, she offers profound insight on how to create a strong foundation for making the right choices. As you listen to the excerpt from my original conversation with Gwen today, I invite you to reflect on how intuition shows up in your own life and how you respond to it. Do you tap into that feeling inside you that tells you something is right or not? Do you hear that inner voice, or is it blocked by so many other messages out there? And if you do hear it, do you trust it? What I love about this conversation is that Gwen is a big believer in following your gut and moving past the idea of failure, or that failure is bad. In this conversation, she helps us figure out how we can identify what's for us and what's not, so we can stop knocking on doors that aren't meant for us. I think you'll be inspired by her take on finding a life that will, as she says, flow in your favor. One quick note before we listen to Gwen's interview. She and I talk about a Facebook group that we connected in, and as of October 2025, it is still open, though perhaps not as active as it once was. It can be a challenge to keep groups going, but I think that's why it's so important for us to stay in touch in other ways. Stay connected on social media. It can serve a similar purpose. We can all be a group together as we interact and comment and share with each other. So I welcome you to do that with me on social media, and I always have the links to the different places where I spend the most time in my show notes. If you want to have some fun and see some silly reels and be inspired and get podcast updates, you can do that on Instagram. If you want more of the direct and informational posts, you can definitely find that on LinkedIn. And I definitely post on Facebook as well. Now let's jump into the segment with Gwen Austin on trusting your gut to make the right choice. Welcome, Gwen Austin, to the Positively Living podcast. I'm so delighted that you could join me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, this all began with us in a Facebook group, but there's so much more to that, and we'll get into it. But let's start, if you will, by sharing a bit about who you are and who you help and what really lights you up.
Great question. There's a lot. So I am an entrepreneur, wife, a mother of 3 girls, but what lights me up are kids who are ages 4 to 6. If I could sit in their world all day long, it would bring me so much joy, but not as a teacher. That's exhausting. I love them, but I have mad respect for teachers. But I have been in the toy world for about a decade as a toy inventor. I'm moving now into the animation world. My goal there is to kind of help teach children. My first show is about teaching children about failure, because it's very instinctual to us as young people. Little kids, they fall, they get back up, they learn how to walk. We do that when we're young. And then somewhere along the way, we start getting self-conscious. And so my hope is to eliminate that moment in life. So as adults, we recognize that when we fall, we just get back up and we don't let it stop us. That's what lights me up. It's kind of follows through in a lot of things that I do, and including this women entrepreneur group that I started. It's my same passion there is to be very real, to show that failure. I mean, I've failed a bazillion times. And so now I've started this with women entrepreneurs as a group to build a community and to get support in that way too. So I'm kind of looking at 2 different sides of the world.
Well, I love that. And I think it's so important because you are reaching a group of people, a demographic, if you will, the little ones where you can keep that natural tendency. You're right that we do have when we're little, we fall, we get back up, we keep running, we just go and we don't overthink it. And boy, I don't know when it began, but I became a pro at overthinking things and also feeling self-conscious about the falling down and on and on. It's like a snowball effect. So I think it's incredibly important. And it's part of the reason why I have this podcast and why we're here having this conversation is that not only do we need to support those growing up to say, no, keep that instinct, but we also need to come back and sit down with everyone who's like, yeah, I did lose that instinct and I am kind of freaked out about failing. And we do need to talk about this because I'd like to let that go. Right. And so I think it's wonderful that you're taking care of both sides because we need you just as much as ages 4 to 6 do.
Well, I tell you, I need me to sometimes too. It gets thrown in my face more than I can tell you. What would you tell your kid? Like, what would you say in your show? I'm like, oh, I don't want my own words thrown back in my face. Let me have my pity party. Right? We all feel that.
I am wallowing. Do not give me my own sage advice right now.
Exactly. I don't want to hear it.
My husband has done that to me from time to time, especially with like productivity advice. If you step back for a moment, hush up. Okay. So going back a little just for the story and to create some perspective on how you and I connected, we were in another Facebook group that was a large women entrepreneur group. And there was a climate in there that we weren't happy with. It was not serving us. And so a number of us left this group. What happened in your mind? What were you going through? What were the decisions you were making or the things that you were thinking that inspired you to be like, I'm going to start a new group?
Well, it's funny, this goes back to truly trusting your gut and almost letting your brain get out of the way. To say what I was thinking that night, I know I woke up the next morning and went, what was I thinking? So that tells you it was 100% from the gut. It was this moment where I recognized this is not really to me a supportive place. And I have yet to have found a really, truly supportive place. It's not about promotion. It's not about me, me, me. It's how do we build a true community? And another member of that original group said, well, where are you going to go? And for whatever reason, I went out, literally came up with the name Entrepreneur Women Unified, like, all right, that seems to be explain what we're trying to do here. And a minute later said, here's a group. Like, I had no idea. The next morning, there were over 1,000 people in that group. It was insane.
So many of us had been connected. And again, that is the point of this. And it's the thing that we encourage so often is this collaboration and community. It's what we're searching for. And I think what we, as women especially, we need that community and that support. And when we had what essentially I'm calling a mass exodus from this group, we were all searching and we were talking to each other. And it was like, where are you going to go? Where are you going? And yeah, you stepped in and said, okay, I'm going to create the place that we're all searching for.
Yeah.
Right. Build it from the ground up. So we were all like, okay, we're in, let's do this together. And I do feel like, because I was there from the beginning as well, that we built it together in many respects. You are absolutely the leader of this. You are the administrator, but you did create a community that felt like we were all co-creators.
Well, I'm glad you say that because it is definitely about the community. It feels good because the community feels good, not because of something I posted today. That's just a lead, right? I do know that initially, day 2, 3, there was a lot of drama going on. And I looked at my husband and said, I'm not cut out for this. I don't understand this. Again, I like to be around 4-year-olds. There's not drama in that way. You just everybody get along. Why? We're all entrepreneurs. Why is this all such a big deal? And he looked at me, he said, this is your group, kick them out. And he goes, if they're not bringing what the energy that you want in this group, they can find at their own location. They don't belong there. And I think that realization of an empowerment that came with, hey, this is my playground. This is how we're going to play on it. And as long as you want to play this way, everyone's welcome. But if you want to get nasty towards other people, we don't need you here. There were only a small handful of those moments, but you're right by saying it's the community because there's 4,400 women in there right now. And every day I am just floored by the support and the giving that comes out of these women. And to build it, whether you're having a hard day or you're having a successful day or whatever it is, this group has proven that women actually can support other women because we have gotten a bad rap about how women are catty and women want to see other women fail. And they, there are women out there who are like that. There are people out there like that. But this group of women truly is there to bring everyone up and let us all ride the successful journey together. There's enough room for all of us.
Absolutely. And I know in the very beginning of anything, I love what you said. There's so many times that we ask the question, what was I thinking? But also you can ask that question because it can feel you're in the craziness, you're in the building period, you're in the figuring out, you're in the bumpy road, whatever happens. You might be saying that because it feels like, I don't even have a word for it. It's just that sound. But at the same time, if you know in your gut it's the right choice, that's that strong why, right? When we have a really strong why that will drive us through the how and the crazy and the bumps and whatnot. And I know in the beginning, everyone was also grieving the experiences that they were having and the turmoil that they just gone through. So when you show up, and in this case, we all showed up, there's a lot of baggage.
Yeah. And it was humbling to hear some of the stories. I had so many direct messages from women and just to hear how they felt they were dismissed or treated. And I can't even comprehend it. Aren't we all trying to do the same thing? Why would you not want to support someone else?
Yeah, it boggles my mind too. And I think that is how we now have the group that we have, is that we find each other when we express our truth and when we walk in integrity and we walk with our values. And that connects back to this idea and the thing that you and I were talking about. It was like, yep, we're having a podcast episode about this, is that listening to your gut, even if the idea sounds crazy or even if it sounds difficult. We were just chatting before we hit record. And I was saying that this podcast is that for me. And I've had many, many people tell me why this is probably not a good idea.
Really?
Not that
That's so surprising.
I know, right? Shocker. Now, nobody said I shouldn't have a podcast. Many people are like, oh yeah, you seem well suited to that. But they love to remind me, you, everyone about how much work it is, how expensive it is, how there's so much pod fade, podcasts fade. And they're just a lot involved. Or they love to question, oh, do you make money? And do you do this? And do you do that? It's like, okay. All I'm telling you is that I know this is where I'm meant to be. And right now, yeah, that's all I can tell you. Now, I'm not saying that the numbers don't show it. The numbers do. I just shared with you, we're over 6,500 downloads on the top 5% worldwide podcasts and listen notes. We're getting somewhere, but it does take time to build.
Absolutely. And I think when you're going from a place where you're following your gut, I know when you're going from a place where you're following your gut, that time you still are going to hear no. You still are going to have those days when life is difficult. Yes, this is not an easy road. I would never, ever tell anyone, oh, yeah, follow your gut and it's super easy then. No, it's not. It's heartbreaking almost. It's almost even worse because there's no way to back down from it because you know you are supposed to be heading in this direction. So that almost makes it harder in a way. But at the same time, in those difficult moments, it's what helps you propel yourself through it. It gets you back on track, gets you back at your desk the next day, and okay, try to regroup. If you're doing it because, oh, I heard this is a great way to make money, just stop today. Like,
check, please.
it's because anybody who's telling you, oh, I can help you make 10K a month. No, you can do that. You're more than capable of doing that. But if that is the only thing driving you, no, your lack of passion is going to come through. And the reason why you're successful is people can hear that you are here for the right reason in your voice and what you do. People are attracted to the passion behind the entrepreneur. And that comes from your gut feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all ties into, I'm trying to remember if it was maybe Jim Rohn. He's known for a lot of great quotes, but this idea that, people aren't buying what you're selling, they're buying your passion. So find your passion and sell that. And again, we're not necessarily talking about sales exclusively, but this concept of whatever it is that, whether you're selling, sharing, whatever you want to call it, you need to have that why behind it. Of course, one of my favorite books, Start With Why, Simon Sinek. You're right. That trusting your gut, that why, that's all connected. And that is what's going to put you at your desk the next day going, all right, I'm going to keep doing this.
Because you're going to have that day. That's a guarantee. Guarantee that, I have found myself on my closet floor crying, like I've had those days. I'm going to watch the stupidest trash TV as I can find today just to forget about life. Like I've had those moments, but I've gone as far as saying, I'm quit. I just got to quit. Like this is not for me. But then when I think about not moving forward, it makes me sick to my stomach. Like, what do I do? Who am I if I don't do this? So I think when you're searching, as an entrepreneur, you can't force your gut to tell you necessarily, but I think you have to keep searching until all of a sudden you just know.
I think that's so interesting. This idea of, feeling it and feeling as though it's not doing it would ultimately be worse. No matter how bad the bad day is, no matter how difficult or challenging it is, whatever it is that you're doing, the not doing it would be worse. And I think it's so important to clarify when we talk about that. That's when we say trusting your gut is driving you, that's the intuition, the values, all the things that play a part in the decision as to why you're doing this. Now, that doesn't mean you can't change the how.
Absolutely. I think when we try to force that square peg in the round hole, because this is the way life is supposed to look.
Right.
You have to allow sometimes for life to ebb and flow, to direct you and help lead you to what that's going to look like.
Right. And that was the other thing that you mentioned to me, was this idea of not only following your gut, but that it can allow flow. So I like this idea of ebb and flow. And I think that flow really seems to apply more to, well, how are you going to get where you want to go? That, you know what I mean? Like your ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Or what's it going to look like maybe?
I've been struggling with this in the animation world. I kind of jumped off the dock into the water and didn't know how to swim and just decided to create an animated show without knowing anything. So I kind of put the cart. The horse wasn't even, in the same country. And now I'm kind of backstepping going, okay, well, I've got this. I've got it. It's on YouTube. I have this show, but now I'm learning where I need to go with it. And for a long time, I felt like a failure because I didn't know where to go. And it was kind of releasing that what is this supposed to look like? When I released that and just started opening things up to, well, let's look at this way. Let's look at this way. I belong to a mentorship group that I just for the past 3 months. And it was just today, actually, 3 months into it, that we had a guest speaker. And I went, there's my happy place in this animation world. He's doing it. This is where I fit. So you keep searching for, right, the right flow. You keep searching, and you always will, in my opinion. You always will. There's always room to grow.
So this idea of trusting your gut, right? This is that, again, the intuition, the values, the beliefs, that just sometimes that voice, right? That knowing. And I was thinking before we were, going to have this conversation, I'm like, what is it that stops us? And I guess it would be kind of the reverse of what we just talked about. One of the things for sure would be the feeling like you are failing and you're not doing it right because you don't know exactly how it's going to look, right?
Yeah.
Kind of locking yourself into that. What else do you see that holds us back from trusting ourselves that way?
That's such a great question. Definitely the people you surround yourself with. We're joking about that. I am so lucky to have parents and a husband who just keep going, keep going. Most people don't have that. I went to college out in Boston, and I swear every semester I'd call up my parents. This semester, I'm going to be a chemistry major. This semester, I'm going to be a computer science major. This semester. And then my dad would go out and brag to all of his friends. And the next semester I'd have a different degree. And it was so all over the place that I went to the guidance, not a guidance counselor, but yeah, a school counselor. And she goes, I think you need to leave school. I had good grades. She told me to leave school to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I'm like, well, and do what? Go work at McDonald's? I mean, isn't this where I'm supposed to figure out what I want to do with my life? Yeah, my parents were not happy with that, but they allowed me that freedom to keep searching and keep looking. And I think when you feel like you're in an environment where your friends, your family are saying, well, but you have a job and your job pays well and you're about to get a promotion. Yeah, but I'm miserable, right? Or like you said, that's a lot of work. Why would you do this? There are a lot of people who don't really understand what drives an entrepreneur. So they're speaking from their own place of fear.
Yes.
Because that doesn't feel right to them. And that's fine. It doesn't feel right to them. But that's not your community to be speaking this topic about. You need to find the right people to kind of have these conversations with.
Yeah, that's such a good point. When we talk about support groups, and I seem to recall, I think it was with Raven on the episode about fear, because we were talking about, how we step forward in fear and the different ways that we experience fear. And this idea that when we look for a supportive community, we're going to get support in different ways from different people. And that's okay. And we identify it that way. And I think about it like friendships. You have certain friends that you go and you hang out with and you have a drink with, and other friends that you tell your deepest, darkest secrets, and other friends that you maybe like to exercise with. And then they're not always the same.
Great point.
And so it's as important as an entrepreneur to find those different support groups. And that's why, I spend so much time in the Entrepreneur Women group. These are people who get it. They live it. They understand it. Now, I do have some amazing friends who are cheering me on, but probably think I'm crazy for what I'm doing. If we're being honest, and I'm sure they told me and I just nod and smile. Right. So there's a distinction.
Sure. It's finding your people. That's such a great, yeah, you need to put that on something. Find your people. Because I think I'm looking at even my kids. They already have friends whose parents are saying, no, you can't go in that direction because you won't make money there. Or what's driving you, or that's the message you've heard your whole life. It's a little scarier than to take a leap and do it. But you have to think about it, that you're on this planet not to go work in a cubicle, unless that's what drives you. I mean, if that's what inspires you, then go for it. But don't do it at the sake of your own happiness, just because you feel like this is the only way I can pay the bills and somebody's got to have insurance. And right, there are other ways to do it.
Right. It really does go back to where you feel good about what you're doing. I can think of people that I know that I'm very close to who absolutely want to be employees. They feel the best there. They feel that a certain kind of control and safety that matters to them. And if they are happy and if they're thriving that way, fantastic.
Yes, fantastic. And just make sure you're working for a company that fuels your soul, right?
Right. And that is possible. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there. But yeah, the key is coming back to what is it that you're searching for? What is it that, again, right back to the gut. We say sometimes your heart, your gut, it's a feeling. It goes beyond feeling though, right? Because we're discerning a lot of things. We know there's a list of things that are important to us, but we are fighting against conversations from other people who say no or think something's not a good idea. And you mentioned that too, that you've heard no a lot. And it's not only that you have, your surrounding support group or the people that you're surrounded with may or may not be supportive, who feed into your perceptions that you have to kind of come back and audit and say, I don't know if I believe that. I think this is possible. And so you have to make those choices and sometimes stand on your own. But there's also when you're making that decision and you're going ahead and you're trying and you're still coming up, against the no's and against the resistance. How do we move past that?
That one is hard. Like we said, it's the passion that helps you move past it. I am a huge lover of people's stories, their origin stories. I'm actually going to start a YouTube about this with women entrepreneurs.
Nice.
To really talk about their journey. And there is the woman, and I don't have her name offhand, but she wrote the book, The Help, which became a movie. Her story is one I go back to a lot. She wrote a book. She got rejected 12 times, 14 times. Her family friends said, it's time to just let it go. You've tried, good job, time to let it go. She kept pushing forward. It got so bad with the resistance around her that she actually rented a hotel room that she didn't tell anyone about, that she would go work. She stopped telling people she was working on her book. 71 was the yes. So she got 70 no's until she hit that yes. Book became a national seller, became a movie, right? We know where it ended. And that to me is such a beautiful story of having this passion to need to do something and rework it until you get it right. Know that it's here. I just have to tweak it. I just have to keep moving. I just have to find my right customer. Whatever it is, it's out there. And then I go and I look at the most ridiculous things that have made the market. And I think, all right, if that's on the market, there's room for everyone.
I don't want to be all judgy here, but come on, we're friends. So I'll just be just a skosh judgy. All right. Grab a beverage. I've listened to some podcasts where I'm like, listen, if they could be super popular, I could do this too.
Well,
right?
It's true. And because there's always an audience for you. They found their people, right? And you have your people. So,
and I love my people.
Just like in our group, right? That all people are not going to be happy in that group. They don't want this kumbaya, right? They want.
We have campfires. There are s'mores. Do not underestimate this. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was just having a conversation the other day of like, if you're not someone's cup of tea because they don't like tea, and it doesn't matter how great you are, you could be the best tea in the world, but they don't like it. They like coffee or vice versa. That is what it is. But coming back to that. So you hear no, it's going back to that self-trust, I guess, right? And believing that there's something in there that you're feeling. And if you listen to it and have the faith that it'll take you in the right direction and you keep at it, you'll make the right choice. I think the question sometimes is, what's the right choice?
I don't think there's an answer. I think you just show up, right? Showing up is the answer. You show up every day. And if it's for 5 minutes or if it's for 5 hours, don't judge yourself on the time. Just go, okay, today, I don't know how to become Peppa Pig today, right? We'll go back to animation. I don't know how to do that. But what I do know today is I've got to go research who these different companies are. So that's what I get to do today. And that's kind of what I usually tell people. Don't look at your end goal, where you want to be. Walt Disney had no idea that there were going to, he was going to create the happiest place on earth for generations to come. he wanted to make an animation with a mouse. Like
Yeah.
right? Like it was so basic what he did. So I think if you just look at what do I know today and what can I do today? I don't need to know what I have to do next year. By that time, I will have learned enough or made the right contacts. So don't let yourself get overwhelmed with the fact that I'm not an overnight success. It's going to take you 10 years to get there. That's what anybody you ask, they've been doing it for 10 years. So,
It's so true.
right, there's no such thing as I just started yesterday. But I think that's really what it is. Just take your bite-sized pieces and just keep moving forward.
I think that is the best place for us to wrap up. Love that, Gwen. Thank you. Listening back, I appreciate how timeless this conversation is. Gwen's reminder that your gut instincts are there to protect you and guide you is something I've seen play out again and again in my coaching work. When we pause to listen to those quiet cues, we strengthen the very foundation of self-trust that is necessary for making the best choices. And that changes not only how we make decisions, but the quality of those decisions and how we can set the boundaries that we need and care for ourselves in the best way possible. If you'd like to keep exploring this topic, I encourage you to queue up episode 216 with Valerie Friedlander next. It's a compassionate continuation of this conversation with really fantastic, actionable advice on how to release the shame that blocks our intuition. And if you want to keep exploring how you work best, your next step just might be a clarity call with me. If you've been feeling pulled in a bunch of directions, feeling overwhelmed, you know you need some kind of support, and you're not really sure what that is, the clarity call is the place to start. If you're wondering if coaching is right for you, you're not even sure what that might look like, or you're craving a safe space where you can talk through a few things and just get clear, externally process, and move on, that's also what the clarity call is for. It's 45 minutes. It's not a sales call, although I can explain more of my services and coaching options to you if that's something you'd like to know. And I'll happily answer any questions you have. But the main goal of a clarity call is for you to experience my coaching firsthand, and so that you can walk away breathing a little easier with a fresh perspective, and you can see what you need to do next more clearly. Go to positivelyproductive.com/PLP clarity for more details and to book a time that works for you. And as we close today's episode, please know how grateful I am that one of the choices you make consistently is to tune in with me here. I'm honored to walk this journey with you to help you find your most positive, most productive life. Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. If you have feedback or questions, you can find me through the Connect page of the positivelyproductive.com website. And if you're looking for any of the resources mentioned here, from books to products to training and more, go to positivelyproductive.com/resources.